The KwaZulu-Natal Agriculture and Rural Development Department has increased its funding for dealing with the rabies outbreak in the province. It follows the death of a 6-year-old child in Empangeni. 5 people have died from rabies since the beginning of the year. The provincial government is in the process of applying to national government to declare the disease an emergency. While for more on this story, we cross to the SABC News reporter Mlungisi Khumalo, and he is joined by Dr. Cameron Kutwana. A very good morning to you.
Which will help relieve sensitivity. I have used Sensodyne myself.
Just decided to trip on my cable. Yes, like you mentioned earlier on, that's the KwaZulu-Natal Agriculture Department has been going on a rampant campaign as to try to get as many dogs vaccinated in the province in order to stop the spread of rabies. We also know that in the last 5 months alone, over 5 people have already demised to the disease. Just 3 days ago, we went up in the north of the province to see the family of Ayanda Nkosi, who unfortunately was bitten by a stray dog. But with me to tell me more about the rabies outbreak in the province, I've got Dr. Cameron Kutwana, who will just brief us more about that. Doctor, just briefly, how dire is the rabies situation in the province?
The situation has been very serious. It has been very bad. We've had outbreaks. Previously, we had at least 13 to 20 dogs becoming positive in the province. But now the cases have increased. Almost every week, there is at least 7 positive dogs which are reported in our epidemiology section.
Doctor, what most people at home don't get is that rabies are not only affecting dogs, but they also infect animals such as cows, horses, and cats. We also recall that not far away from here in Hillcrest, a 3-year-old died after being bitten by a cat. Just tell us more about this. And what are the symptoms of a person who's been bitten by a rabies-infected animal?
Thanks. What is happening is rabies is not only limited to dogs. We've had cases where rabies can be found in cows, can be found in goats. There's a positive goat in Underpack which was reported yesterday. It can be found in horses, all warm-blooded animals. The thing is, in dogs, the disease can be transmitted to human beings, hence we call it a zoonotic disease. But in cattle, horses and all other livestock, they are becoming a dead-end host, which means the disease stops with them and they eventually die and stuff. The dogs, probably you'll know, if it's a vicious dog, it becomes tame. So if it's a tame dog, it becomes vicious. It chases objects, it barks, and it also has salvation, all these signs which are typical of rabies. A human being who has been bitten by a dog will start hallucinating because it's disturb the central nervous system, the brain. The person will start seeing objects. He will be hydrophobic, afraid of water, and eventually gets paralyzed, and eventually will die in the hospital. The tricky thing about rabies is once the signs are seen on human beings, there's no point of turning back. That person cannot be treated and he will eventually die. So we caution our communities that at least in a bite case, they need to get attention, they need to get to the hospital so that they can seek medical attention. Before that, they need to rinse the wound with water, running water, and probably get the shot from the hospital so that the disease can be prevented from spreading and really causing a death.
Doctor, we also know that the Agriculture Department in the province has been on an aggressive campaign to try and vaccinate as many dogs as possible. Now we are in the place of Lamontville, where we've got tons of dogs here around me. Tell us about the campaign.
Thanks. Our strategy has been just because of the criticality of the positive cases. We are vaccinating in all the township, in all the rural areas, in all the urban areas. Currently, this week we were busy in Mlazi doing vaccination. We covered the K section, the L section, the J section. As a strategy, because we only respond during weekdays, so we get a special kind of like arrangement with the people who are in areas like the hostels, because we've learned that they are keeping dogs for hunting purposes and stuff. Hence, you can see in my background there's a lot of these greyhounds and pointers and stuff. These are the dogs which are mainly used for hunting. It has been a practice or a sport by our communities to utilize these dogs. They are at a risk, however, because when they're hunting, they could come across some of the diseased animals, infected animals with rabies. You'll call it mongoose, which are carriers and stuff, and they are at the risk. So our strategy then was to secure a day, which is a Saturday, where we can get them in numbers. They are not at work today, most of them. So then we will start treating or start vaccinating their dogs.
Thank you very much. Well, there you hear it. That's his Dr. Cameron Kutwane, who's also saying that government has gone out on an aggressive campaign to try and vaccinate as many dogs as possible in the province. We are also reliably informed that now the province could spread out of the province, but we'll also only get those figures very shortly when the MEC of Agriculture releases a statement. Now over back to you in studio.
Thanks for that, Mlungisi. That is